What's Cooking? You're very welcome to What's Cooking right here on City TV, and it's another extremely fascinating episode. But today, we get a bit health conscious. We're talking about foods that are great or that you should consider if you or someone you know and love are dealing with kidney disease or issues with the kidney. So today, it's a very healthy episode, pun intended, and I will introduce my guests when we return, but let me tell you what the menu is, because it's a whole kidney-friendly buffet, all right? So we're starting off with fish vegetable stew with plain rice for patients on dialysis. Then we're doing a fish jollof rice with salad for potassium-restricted renal diets. And then we'll segue into chicken vegetable light soup with boiled potatoes for patients, again, who are on dialysis. And if you're wondering why we're having this conversation, lately we hear someone has unfortunately passed away because they had kidney disease they didn't know. We know a lot of people who are on dialysis. We've had issues with dialysis machines in Ghana. We've spoken about this, and through those topical discussions, we've got to understand that many more people than we thought possible are dealing with kidney failure, kidney issues in Ghana. And so we're bringing it to the kitchen because they say you are what you eat, right? When I return, I will introduce my guest. She's a dietitian, and she's the woman to tell us how to go about this. Don't forget that the show is sponsored by Tasty Tom, Ufa Kakra, Nsiah Bebre, Fortune Rice. Look, Mama loves it, and you should too. Frytol. In every Ghanaian kitchen, if you don't use Frytol, then you're probably not Ghanaian, or you haven't been immersed into the Ghanaian culinary space yet. And Indomie, it tastes great, and we love it. Let's go for a break. When we return, we get cooking. Back. It's getting hot in here in the What's Cooking kitchen. My name is Apiorkor. Now it's time for me to introduce my guest. Before that, if you're just joining us, let me just recap what we're doing today. We're looking at foods or meals that are great, that are healthy, and that you should be considering if you're dealing with kidney disease, or if you have kidney issues, or if someone you know has kidney issues. Now, why are we doing this? Again, I'll recap very briefly. Because kidney issues are becoming rife in Ghana. We don't know why, but the dietitians and the nutritionists and the healthcare experts will tell us that a lot of what goes on in our bodies has to do with what we eat, how we prepare what we eat, and then what we basically, you know, the things that we do with it. So, yeah, vegetables, how are you treating your vegetables? How are you treating your chicken? We're going to discuss all that today. And then the ingredients and the things that we use. You know, there are ingredients in ingredients, right? So some vegetables have potassium in them. Some vegetables have sodium. Some vegetables have acid. So you think you're eating vegetables, but depending on who you are and what your body needs or what your body is dealing with at any particular time, you need to consider the individual ingredients that make up the ingredients. And so at this point, I'm going to introduce my guest. Her name is Desua. She is a dietitian at the 37 Military Hospital in Accra, Ghana. And you're very welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
How, look, you know, I wish I had a dietitian just so that I could dress how you've dressed today. It's so cool. You have your name on it.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. You're welcome. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Wonderful. So we've had a lot of conversations, you and I, behind the scenes about the things that we put into our body, i.e. food. And we've been talking a lot about the kidney, and I have been very worried to hear about just how rampant kidney disease has become. Why do you think that's so, from where you sit? Because you have lots of patients whom you deal with, whom you counsel. What are you seeing?
So, unfortunately, kidney issues are increasing, just like a lot of health issues as well. Kidney mostly has to do with what we take in. The body is supposed to get rid of the waste by itself. However, the organ that helps with the elimination of the waste from the blood is the kidney. When it is impaired, then we have kidney issues. When we burden it or when we ignore it.
When we burden it,
yes,
or when we ignore it,
then it becomes faulty. When you don't see the damage early, then it keeps it deteriorating. If you are lucky to see it early, there is a way to go about it. Okay. So unfortunately, most of us ignore our bodies, so we don't see it early. So it ends up with the disease and the failure.
And the failure.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're going to look at some foods that can help us pay attention to our kidneys. That's
Yes.
one.
Yes.
And then for those who unfortunately have already developed some issues or some disease, we'll also look at meals for them. Not all hope is lost, right?
Not at all.
You can fix things beyond medicine.
Yes.
Food is medicinal
yes.
too.
Yes,
right?
you can still enjoy your meals.
Okay.
You can still enjoy life.
Yes. You can still enjoy life.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I like that. So, Anna, let's start. And you've brought a whole rack of ingredients for a buffet, a kidney-friendly buffet.
Sure.
So where do we begin?
Good. So, from our vegetable side, when the kidney is burdened or when the kidney is impaired, there are some vegetables that you have to watch out when you are planning your meals, okay? You don't want to take vegetables that are very high in potassium because you have to reduce your potassium intake, your phosphorus intake, and your sodium intake.
Why is that so? Is it that when the kidney is impaired or there's a problem with the kidney, it struggles to release those particular nutrients from the body? How does it work?
Okay, the potassium causes fluid imbalance.
Okay.
Okay. And sodium as well.
Okay. So is that where you see people with swollen feet, lots of swelling, what do you call it? Edema, right?
Yes,
okay.
edema.
See, I've done my homework.
You've done very well. And the phosphorus put further burden on the kidney. So potassium also creates more waste in the body. Yeah.
Okay.
So we are trying to reduce the waste that the kidney is not able to eliminate already. Like when you have, when you are in your house and the Zoom lions stuff are not coming.
They are not coming to pick the rubbish.
Yes,
so now you have to minimize the waste.
You might want to burn some, you might want to not bring certain things home at all so that it doesn't create waste. That is what we're trying to do with our meals, okay?
Wonderful.
When we do it well, you will see that the function of the kidney will improve and the rates of deterioration will slow. Okay. So the quality of life will improve.
Okay. Wonderful.
So we'll start with tomatoes.
Okay.
Tomatoes we love in Ghana. Most of our meals have
almost
tomatoes.
every meal has to have tomatoes in it.
Yes.
You know, if it's soup and there's no tomato, then it's not soup.
Yes.
Unless it's a bunu bunu.
Yes. Therefore, we will always have tomatoes in our meals. But unfortunately, when your kidney is impaired or damaged, you might have to reduce it drastically or eliminate. Okay, so tomatoes here, yes, but we wouldn't use much.
So what is inside the tomatoes that makes it difficult for the kidney to manage?
Okay, tomatoes are very high in potassium. So for a healthy kidney, tomatoes are good because of your heart. You need potassium, good amount of potassium. But when your kidneys are impaired, you have to eliminate or drastically reduce. Yeah. We have Kenyan pepper.
Yes, what we call akwelewabi.
Yes, they are very good. They are low in potassium. They are low in phosphorus. So we can run to it. And they are tasty too. Just as these ones also, but these are healthier for the kidney.
For the kidney.
They are more friendly.
So the Kenyan pepper, the long chili peppers, what we call akwelewabi, is healthier for the kidney, especially an impaired kidney, than our normal Scotch bonnets that we see on the market.
Then carrots, they are also low in potassium and phosphorus. Bell pepper, very sweet. So in the absence of tomatoes, we want to use the bell pepper to give color and sweetness to our meals. And more especially when they are red, they are very low in green, yes, but the more green, the more the increase in potassium levels.
Okay.
So we will use more of this
Okay.
and less.
So basically what we're saying is that the riper the bell pepper
Yes,
gets,
yes.
the less potassium it's
But
likely to have.
But when you feel like eating green bell pepper, there's a way you can prepare it to reduce the potassium
Okay.
level. That we will do.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And even with the tomatoes, there's a way.
Okay.
But you can't really get much out.
Out of it.
So,
Okay.
and we have our onions. Onions, garlic,
Yes.
they are very good.
Okay.
Then we have spices, all very good to improve taste.
I see the
This
cloves
is
here.
rosemary, my very good friend.
What we
cloves.
call the pepper, right?
Pepper.
The Nsiah or
Yes.
Negro pepper.
Yes.
Some rosemary as
Yes.
well, dried.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a
This
nice
yeah.
spread. Sage, thyme, I see. Oh,
Yes.
it's a whole garden here.
Yes, it's very beautiful garden. Then you have your cauliflower. Yes, also very good, low in potassium and very nutrients dense.
Okay.
So when it comes to the broccoli and the cauliflower, this is very low in potassium, but this is medium.
So
Okay.
cauliflower,
Yes.
which is actually more common in Ghana,
Yes.
in our, in our
Yes.
open air
Yes.
markets, our
Yes.
local
Yes.
market. That's the one that's off-white. We're
Yes.
saying that that's lower in potassium
Yes.
than broccoli.
Yes, it's medium.
It's medium.
Yes.
Okay.
So when you have to use it and you are, I must emphasize that not all patients with kidney disease have to be on low potassium diet.
Okay.
So for clinical experience, even for good management of the disease, you have to constantly check your levels of these minerals.
Okay.
So for you to be on the restriction, you might have done a lab test and the doctor would have seen that your potassium levels are high.
Okay.
So they will ask you to see your dietitian. They will put you on a low potassium diet. Some of them, surprisingly, have very good level of potassium. They are allowed to eat as much as possible. These foods are for patients on potassium restriction diets. Okay, so we are preparing fish vegetable stew and then chicken light soup
Yes.
and
With
jollof
potatoes.
rice with potatoes.
Yes, yes. One pot.
Yes.
Okay. All
Yes.
right. So let's start. Where do you want us to start?
We want to start with the chicken.
Okay.
The chicken.
So I see that you've already marinated it. What did we use for that?
We have red pepper, ginger, garlic,
Okay.
a little cinnamon.
Okay. Red pepper was it?
Yes.
Yes,
this
okay. So
one.
these ones are
Yes.
scotch bonnets. Okay.
Then we have a little rosemary,
Okay.
a little fennel, and a little cloves.
Okay. A little cinnamon.
Yes.
Cinnamon is not something that Ghanaians tend to use often in the savory sense.
Yes.
Why cinnamon?
Cinnamon is very sweet, especially when added to chicken. And cinnamon is also good for our kidneys. So in as much as you want to remove the burden from the kidney, you also want to repair it. Good. So whilst it's steaming, we will prep our vegetables for the soup.
Okay.
Normally, I want to see them like flowers
In the soup.
in the soup, and big enough for the spoon.
So let me ask a question. When
Yes,
you
ma'am.
when you have issues, health issues as serious as dealing with the kidney and kidney impairment, how important is it to, because now you have to eat things that maybe you wouldn't ordinarily eat,
Yes.
just to make sure that you protect what is left of the body or of the organ, right?
Yeah.
So how important is it to make sure that the food looks fun? You know, when you're eating something that you really wouldn't necessarily eat on a normal day.
Yes. Yes. It's very important because you have to enjoy the food, and the food should be attractive, like delicious, appealing.
Okay.
Mostly when people have kidney disease and you start with the restrictions, they get depressed. so I cannot eat this, I cannot eat that. And the fear of losing your taste and the pleasure in food causes a lot of depression to a lot of people.
We've spoken a lot over the years on our network, but also in societal conversations. I'm sure you've come across such conversations about how poor the Ghanaian health maintenance culture is. Now, for some people, they'll say that healthcare is expensive. So if I'm not falling down or I haven't collapsed, then let me go about my business and save the money for school fees or for rent, you know. But in the month of family, what do you want to tell families when it comes to health maintenance? What are some of the things that we should be doing, from the father to the mother to the children? And if you have elderly grandmothers, grandfathers living with you, what are some of the things that we should be doing, that we should be looking out for to make sure that the family is healthy?
Okay. So later I will tell you why this has to be in water. Yes.
Okay.
But coming back to your question, I love it when it has to do with the family. We are supposed to do our annual checkup.
Okay. Annual.
Okay. At least annual. So everybody's birthday, at least. So
your birthday present to yourself.
Yes. Do a checkup. And then the meals we prepare at home, the hearts of the family is in the kitchen.
The heart of the family is in the kitchen. I
you
like
know,
that.
when your heart stops, your whole body. So you have to preserve the quality of your hearts. That is your body. So whatever you are providing your family, make sure at least you are making the healthy options. You are going for the healthy options. Okay. Have a small garden at home so that at least you can have the organic ones. Even if the house is not yours, now we garden in bowls. Everybody is vaccinated against hepatitis B.
Okay.
And depending on your age, so basically, and especially where there are little children, please, the sweets,
okay,
the drinks, we reduce that also for them. After you have done all this and provided them good food, at least you have done about 50% good in preserving the immunity of your family members.
Okay. So, Anna, let me pause here and ask you a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and what you do.
Okay.
So I'll start from what you do.
Okay.
What's the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist? I'm sure you get that question a lot.
Every day.
But I know that some of my viewers will be asking, dietitian, any nutritionist, you know, what's the difference?
Okay.
Is there a difference?
Yes, yes. So a dietitian is a clinical nutritionist.
Okay.
So a dietitian is a nutritionist but has done further studies to know the use of nutrition in curing diseases. So we do curative nutrition. So we use our nutrition knowledge to manage disease conditions.
Okay. So before you go to the chemical medications,
yes,
how do you use food, and your nutritional knowledge to manage the disease? Is that what we are talking about?
No. So that is the work of the nutritionist.
That's the work of the nutritionist.
The nutritionist is public health. Preventive.
Okay, so the nutritionist is preventive.
Yes, preventive. They do preventive nutrition care.
Okay.
Don't eat this so that you don't get diabetes, you don't get kidney disease. Now, when that has happened, you've gotten the disease condition, dietitians come in, teaching you how to use the same nutrition to manage and probably cure.
That's very interesting. Yes. Okay, and thank you, because you're the first person who has explained this clearly.
I have been in the hospital for 18 years.
Wow.
As a catering officer.
As a catering officer.
So my background into dietetics was from catering.
Very, very, very amazing.
But because of the work I am exposed to at the hospital, I came to love the science behind the catering I'm doing. So I decided to not only cook for taste. You know, when you are a caterer, your primary goal is to cook food for people to enjoy.
To enjoy it. They should just lick their fingers. I like that.
So that they will come back. So when you are using ingredients, you don't think about the impact of the ingredients on the body. So far as it is tasty, that's it. But from after school, I started working in the hospital under dietitians. So I saw how these same foods are bringing healing to people, bringing hope. Somebody comes with a condition and you manage the person for a while. You see that the sugar level, for instance, is reducing. So I decided to go into the science of the same food.
Yes.
Okay. So I went to do my degree and did my master's. And because I have been in the hospital all these years, nutrition care became my primary responsibility. When you are sick and you are not enjoying food, it's one of the depressing states you fall in.
And I think everybody can relate to that. Even when you have a common cold and you can't smell the food, you can't taste the food, and because of that you don't even want to eat. And how much more when you're admitted in the hospital with a very serious, disease or condition, and you're told that it's not even about you not being able to taste or smell the food, but you cannot eat this.
And it's for life.
And it's for life.
You think you have lost your quality of life. So when you are given food that you can enjoy, some of them will thank you and thank you and thank you. For once, okay, these are good for me. I can't eat this, but what I am restricted to, I can enjoy. It gives them hope. And so that is what pushes me to do medical catering.
So what you're saying is that you would go, because of course the caterers sometimes you are the one doing the service on the ward, and you get to meet the patients, even though you are not handling their ward specifics, right? And you get there and the patient thanks you that, oh, they said I shouldn't eat this, but the way you prepared this meal, I enjoyed it and I have hope. That's what pushed you.
Yes.
And okay, I'll save some of the conversation because you're making me emotional. I love to see people who have passion for what they do, and a great passionate story that allowed them to discover the passion and to live it. So you're touching my heart. But let's come back to the food. You've done a lot of things. You've prepped the green pepper, the green bell peppers,
so
the red bells, the yellow, the carrots are here, the cauliflower. Now we're on the garden egg. So I'm not going to ask you too many questions so that we can speed through. I'll come back to you. Meanwhile, I'm stirring the chicken. For our viewers who are just joining us, we put our chicken on a little while ago. It was pre-marinated. We have a lot of wonderful spices in here, and it smells. I can smell the cinnamon, and it's exciting me. And then for those who joined later than the others, you're late, but I'll tell you what we're doing. Today we have Desua in the kitchen. She's a clinical dietitian, and we're talking about foods, meals that we should be considering if you or someone you know is dealing with kidney disease or has issues with the kidney, has an impaired kidney. And there's a whole menu. Let me read it since Anna sent me a whole menu. We have fish vegetable stew with plain rice, and that's mainly for patients who are on dialysis, but I'm sure others can eat it too. Then we have fish jollof rice with salad, and especially for potassium-restricted renal diets. And then chicken vegetable light soup, which is the reason why we're preparing our chicken. And this will go with boiled potatoes. And again, if you're on dialysis or you know someone who is, or you just want to treat your kidneys right, this is a good way to do it. So let's go for a break. When we come back, we'll continue making our, what is this, three-course meal? A three-course kidney-friendly meal with one of my favorite dietitians, Enna. We'll be right back. You're very welcome back to What's Cooking right here on City TV. And if you were not with us before we went on the break, I'll just have you know that today we've gone to health school, you know, if there's anything like that, medical school, you name it. We're learning how to use food to manage kidney conditions. That could be chronic kidney disease, it could be just kidney issues that you're popping up, you know, with, that you're dealing with, or someone else you know is living with at the moment. And I have the perfect person in the kitchen with me today to teach us how to do that. Desua is here. She's a dietitian, one of my favorite dietitians, just because of how passionate she is about what she does and how knowledgeable she is about her field, her craft, her industry. It's very admirable and very inspiring to experience. So Enna, when we went on the break, we started doing some things. Now, we're making 3 meals that are great for the kidney and particularly for managing kidney conditions. Is that right? Okay, so we have chicken light soup with potatoes. That's one. There are vegetables in there as well. Then we have fish vegetable stew with rice, with plain rice. And then we have fish jollof rice. But this jollof rice, get it, we're not making it with tomatoes. So that's what I'm coming to now. And we have lots of bowls lined up. Like we've taken all the bowls in the kitchen and each one has something in it. There's potatoes in one, we've got broccoli, we've got cabbage, we've got carrots, we've got green pepper. So why are we soaking the vegetables in water? Because what we're told is that we shouldn't soak our vegetables in water because the water-soluble nutrients will be lost before we even get cooking. But today, we're doing that, and we're doing it deliberately. Why are we doing it?
So, as part of the treatment for the kidney disease, you have to ensure that you control potassium and phosphorus.
Right.
So, when you have your vegetables, which all have various levels of these minerals, you have to leach them.
Okay.
So that you can,
leach them.
so that you can get rid of some amount of potassium.
Okay.
Okay. So when you leach them for more than 30 minutes, the potassium and phosphorus get into the water.
Okay.
So what you are going to eat has been reduced.
Okay.
And so I have my cabbage.
Yes.
I have a lot of water in there.
And this is our green cabbage that we find
yes.
everywhere in Ghana.
In Ghana,
you know?
yes.
So it's not purple cabbage that you may have to go and buy from a supermarket or from a special farmer's market. It's not our normal cabbage that we know.
Our normal cabbage, yes.
Okay.
Then we have our green bell pepper.
The one that we use for salad.
Yes.
Or we chop into our jollof.
Our jollof, yes. So this shape I'm using for the soup.
Okay.
And this is for my stew.
For the stew.
We must know that vegetables are very essential for the body, even when you have kidney disease.
Okay.
So you can leach them and still enjoy vegetables.
Okay.
So different types of vegetables in a meal is always recommended. You shouldn't stick to one.
Okay.
You should have variety. So we have all the colors.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, in leaching the vegetables, so I learned a new term today. In leaching the vegetables, which is essentially soaking them in water,
yes.
Is there anything we're adding to the water, or it's just the water that we are putting the vegetables in?
It's just the water.
Okay. So what do we do next? Our soup is on fire.
Yes.
Our chicken light soup.
Delicious.
And it's doing very well.
Very
now,
well.
It's interesting for me because there are no tomatoes in the soup.
No.
But we do have carrots in there. We have the red cayenne or chili peppers, the red bell pepper. And it looks like a normal light soup.
Exactly.
I find it very interesting. I don't know, let me see if you can get a bowl. So you can just scoop a little bit and show it to our viewers. This is like pepper soup.
Yes.
And the salt content very low.
Very low.
Almost no salt.
Yes.
So we're just working with a natural
yes.
salt content in the ingredients.
Yes, because when you increase the pepper for this patient, his BPs will go high.
Okay.
And he'll have to struggle with some fluid imbalance in the body.
Okay.
So low salt is the key.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. So our soup is doing well.
Yeah.
I can taste the flavors from the chicken to the
exactly.
cinnamon, and you know I love cinnamon. I told you.
That's great.
The rosemary
I love
is in there too. I can taste the cloves very prominently as well.
Yes.
And then the Nsiah is very subtle.
Yes.
It's almost like so a minute or two have passed already since I tasted it, and I'm now getting that flavor. So it's not overpowering at all. I think each spice is playing its part at the time it's supposed to play it.
Yes.
Okay. So what are we doing now?
So now we are coming to prepare our gravy.
Okay.
For the jollof.
Great. Okay.
For both the jollof and the
fish vegetables stew. Okay,
yes.
so we are using the same base for the jollof.
Yes.
And then we'll continue cooking and that'll become the fish vegetables stew.
Exactly.
Okay, wonderful.
Exactly.
So what kind of oil is this?
This is fried oil.
Fried oil, okay. Hey, fried oil.
So I took just a little.
I love the color of fried oil. It's like liquid gold.
Yes.
You almost think it's olive oil.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So I'm adding a little onions.
Some onions.
To it. Just to fry a little.
Okay.
Once again, because I am cooking for somebody with a kidney failure, I'm not adding tomatoes. But to please the eye,
we'll put a little bit in.
Yes.
Okay.
And as I said earlier, I have bleached the tomatoes, but the tomatoes are so high in potassium that even after leaching it, I cannot use too much.
I understand.
So I don't want to burn my oil.
Okay.
So just after.
So you still need the oil too?
Yes. No, I don't want to overcook
it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Love it. So let me just say that Tasty Tom, you know the deal. Ufakakra, na ye bebre. So we're not using tomato paste in this meal, in any of these meals, for obvious reasons, because we are trying to avoid tomatoes for someone who is dealing with kidney disease. However, when you get to a certain point, you can remove some of what you're cooking and add the tomato paste and continue making the jollof for the family if that's what you want to do. But for the one living with a kidney condition, you want to make sure that you're not using tomatoes, because what do we say? We're trying to reduce or control the potassium content in the meals. So in this pot we have the fried oil, the vegetable oil, and then we added some sliced onion. Then there's blended garlic, ginger as well in there. Okay, so that's what we have in here so far. And we've added a lot of the blended garlic, the blended onion, the blended, so that we can have volume like we said. Okay. All right. Okay. And then what comes next? So, and I just want to say, so apart from people who are living with kidney impairments, these meals are also good for people who need generally to reduce their sodium intake as well. So let me move this so you can see. So right now what we have here is dried herrings, which have been cleaned, prepped, broken into smaller pieces.
Exactly.
Because they are going into a stew. So you don't want the whole herring just swimming there saying, Charlie, what's up? No, you want to break it down. So that with every bite you can get a bit of that goodness. And then there's also smoked, what we call smoked salmon, but which is actually smoked mackerel. You know, it's okay. In Ghanaian parlance, we can call it's our salmon. We claim it. So we also have that cleaned, prepped, the Ghanaian way, and some of that. And you've removed all the bones.
I've removed all the bones.
Okay.
So that it becomes
so it's
easier.
not cumbersome.
To eat.
Yeah, eating your stew and your jollof, then some bone pops up somewhere. We don't want that.
So you see that I'm putting in a lot of
Herrings.
Herrings.
Yes.
And I'll add tuna again because when you are on dialysis, you need a higher amount of protein.
Okay.
Unlike when you are at the earlier stage of the disease where you have to reduce your protein.
Okay.
So far as you go on the machine, you have to increase your protein.
Okay. So why is that? Can you explain that? So what Anna is saying is that when it comes to kidney conditions, if you're at the earlier stage of the disease,
Yes.
or you've just been diagnosed,
Yes.
and they've told you that you're not so far along, we can manage this,
Yes.
and your diet is a huge part of that management, you don't need a lot of protein.
Yes.
But if you've progressed, unfortunately, to the point where you're on dialysis and the management care is becoming a little more intense, you need more protein.
Yes.
Why?
So at the initial stage, you are still trying to reduce the burden on the kidney.
Okay.
So the protein also creates waste,
Okay.
further waste for you.
Okay.
So you have to reduce it. But when you are on the machine clears everything, including your protein that has to build your muscles in it.
So the dialysis works as a supplementary kidney, almost.
Yes.
It's doing what the kidney is
Yes,
supposed to
but
do.
clears everything. So you have to increase your protein level so that you can still maintain
Very interesting.
good muscles.
Very interesting. Okay.
I keep tasting to
Yes.
ensure that I don't get high pepper for you again.
Yeah.
This is very organic pepper. It's
is.
very good.
The pepper is very potent.
It's very, yes, it's very
Okay.
hot. But here
Okay.
it seems low.
So what are we adding right now?
I'm adding more spices
Okay,
to
more
it.
spices. So what spices are we looking at here?
I have the pepper and the garlic and ginger I started earlier.
Okay.
You know, when it burns for long, you lose the taste.
The taste.
So when you
yes.
get to the middle,
that's when you
can
add
add
it. Okay.
when you need it.
Okay. So let me. In the beginning, we added a lot of blended garlic, ginger, and onion. That was more about the volume.
Yes.
But now we are working on the taste.
On the taste.
So
yes.
in the middle, so that we don't lose the
Yes,
flavors.
the flavors.
Then we add
Yes.
it for taste.
Yes.
Okay. So I hope everybody at home is watching the process. You know, just getting to understand it, because this is more scientific than your shoegum, potogum, and it's very different from what you think you know. I mean, you thought you knew how to make jollof, you don't. At least not this kind of jollof. You thought you knew how to make chicken-like soup. No, you don't know how to make this. So make sure that you're following through the process so that if it will be beneficial to you and your family or someone who you love, who you care about, then you can replicate the recipe at home, okay? So Anna,
Yes, my
I
dear.
was saying earlier that so we've reached a point where we split the
Yes.
ingredients. So the pot that's going to have the jollof, the only new ingredients we've introduced in there are some more phytol, so some more oil, vegetable oil,
Yes.
and then some more chopped onions.
Yes.
Everything else, the spices, the ginger, the garlic, the pepper, you just took some from the pot that are making the fish vegetable stew,
Yes.
and then added it there.
Yes.
So when we said we were creating the base for both, we
Yes.
really were. We're
Yes.
being true to that.
Yes, please.
Okay. Is this also a way of saving time?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Very.
Okay. Okay. Is it because the process is so meticulous? It's such a unique process that if you do it once, you know, it saves you time and effort doing it again. So you know, is that what it is?
Yes, you are virtually using the same ingredients,
Okay.
just a little variation.
Okay.
So when you get to where you need the variation, then you separate.
You separate.
Yes.
Okay.
This type of soup is normally good for the night
Okay.
when you come back from home and you don't have to eat
From work. Yeah. It's okay.
and you don't have to eat anything heavy. This is very nutritious.
Okay.
You will have a lot of vegetables in there, but just a little potatoes. Yes. Because you have to sleep on an empty stomach.
Okay. Look at this. So our soup is pretty much ready. The potatoes are now dancing majestically in there. How are we doing? We're good?
We're very good.
So I think we've touched everything on our menu.
Sure.
Our fish vegetable stew with plain rice is on course. Our fish jollof, right?
Yes.
Tomato-less is also right underway.
Yes.
And then our chicken light soup with potatoes is also pretty much done. And we're set to go. So I think we can go on a break, and then when we come back, we can eat.
Sure.
Okay, so in that case, with my soup in a glass, this is still What's Cooking right here on City TV. We will be right back. So we're not quite done here on What's Cooking today. My name is Apiorkor. We've been cooking up a storm, literally, with Desua. She is a dietitian, one of my favorite, I keep saying. And today, in the month of family, where we're celebrating family at City FM and City TV, we've decided to pay attention to the family's health. And we have said that these days, unfortunately, it appears that many more people, many more Ghanaians are suffering from kidney disease or conditions that are not so favorable for their kidneys. And so we've cooked some things with Enna's help that are good for managing those conditions. Now, before I bring Enna in, and we have a special guest with us as well, whom Enna has brought along, let me remind you that this show is sponsored by Tasty Tomufa Kakra, Na Ye Bebre, Frito as well. We also have Fortune Rice, which proudly sponsored our jollof, if you know what I mean. And I can't wait to taste it. And Indomie, it tastes great. Now let's get into our conversation. We've been talking a lot, Enna. We've spoken, for me, one of my highlights for today, you explaining the difference between a nutritionist and a dietitian. I mean, that's golden, and thank you for that. But it also gives me much more appreciation for what you do and how specific and technical your work is. Right? So we've cooked all these things. We did fish and vegetable jollof without tomatoes. Again, very exciting. There's a salad over here. We have some fish vegetable stew, which is going with plain rice. And then we have our chicken vegetable light soup, which also has some potatoes in there. So it's time to eat. And let me also take this opportunity to introduce Madam Efua. Efua is a very good friend of Enna's, and guess what? They do similar things. She's a cook. So very, very, very apt to have a cook on the set when we're talking about food and the things that go into it. And you understand why. I mean, I've just had conversations with her off set. You understand why I'm excited. I'm smiling plenty as I'm introducing her, because she also has a lot to share with what she does and about what we are talking about today. So we dish the food. So you've raised a very important point, Efua, that the way the food is prepared and handled, even before it gets to your table, is important. And it's the so-called
What's Cooking?
Oh my goodness.
Hello.
Why did you have to come today? Why did you have to come?
Because
No, but viewers, you see, so this morning, you know, when the producers and the team had gone to the market and brought the ingredients, I saw him. And he came to pass by, so I thought, okay, today they has come. He's coming to help. He didn't disappear. So I actually didn't think he was going to come. Why are you here?
because I realized that
You realize, so there's a realization
yes,
that
what was being cooked could help my organs function well.
Oh my God.
Yes. So I need to organically organize myself to be here at this juncture. So please do me some.
You see, my guests are some of the kindest people in the world. They're always ready to give him plates and just cater to his whims.
Yes, it's important because
Hey, and I say, you're going to serve him.
Yes.
Oh, and
Please.
why are you doing that?
Please be nice.
Yeah, my guess, not his. So let me come back to this. And now when we were cooking, there are several things that you did to prepare the food for the purpose that you're trying to achieve. In this case, making sure that we're managing some conditions associated with the kidney. Now, assuming you have somebody who's cooking the food who doesn't have this knowledge or who is not careful or meticulous enough to make sure that it goes through the process, what's going to happen?
The person can cause me to lose my patience. Can you imagine having a cook, going to the washroom and straight to the kitchen and not knowing how to wash their hands well and come straight to touch food? A lot can happen because they don't even care.
Yeah.
If you ask them why they didn't wash their hands, they might probably, this is for me, today I'm being selfish.
No, you're allowed
I'm serving myself.
You're allowed to. Because you cook the food, it's your recipe.
So to have a cook who understands the science behind what he's doing is very, very important. Yes.
A lot of people use cinnamon, a lot of people use nutmeg, but they don't use it in their stew. A lot of people will see rosemary, but it just appears in the jollof. They will not put it in a soup. Without even thinking about the nutritional benefits or a new way, a refreshing way to use it. But these are things around us. And these meals that we have here, yes, we may have gone the extra mile to get them to turn out a certain way, but we didn't spend an arm and a leg. So, and I'm coming to you here. There's a notion that when you're eating healthy or when you have to get to the point where you are managing your health with your nutrition, then it means that you have to spend a lot of money. What do you have to say about that?
It's not always the case, because when you know how to play with what you have, you are able to save a lot of money rather than eating what you're not supposed to eat and spending a lot on medication. Healthy foods are not expensive at all. They can be cheap. The only expensive thing about it is the efforts to look for the right ingredients. And that doesn't cost money. Yes, that doesn't cost money. That only costs you time. But when you have gotten it, it is not expensive. You can use kontomire and abidro when they are in season. They are not expensive. Okro, not expensive. So healthy foods are not expensive at all. Yes, sometimes when you have to treat some disease conditions that might call for some seeds and special oils, that may add a little cost to it. Even that compared to medication, it's still cheaper. Very, very cheap, yes. So healthy food is not. This one, we are enjoying it, though it's for a special patient, but we are enjoying it.
Yes. And now you said this is low salt, and I mean, it's fine for me.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's fine. So I have another question.
So this one, what would you do to me?
If you had been here when we were cooking, you'd have known. Yes.
Okay.
So you still want your answer?
Yeah.
Please, Tessa General has a question.
Okay, so this one, it's for somebody who has a kidney failure. And so, you see, I prepared jollof for you, but I didn't add I didn't add any tomatoes at all. So this is olden days, our grandmothers would cook rice and add pepper and onions. Will not add tomatoes. Even when they are preparing cocoa, they add pepper. Similar ways we used to cook the rice with fish. So it is to remove or save your kidney from going through a lot of stress, to help it work better.
So you mean to say that a lot of tomatoes will make it overwork?
A lot of tomatoes will make your kidney overwork,
really?
especially when it has been damaged already. Yes. But for a healthy kidney, you have to enjoy tomatoes. They are good for you. But when your kidney is failing, you don't have to eat tomatoes.
Okay.
Even if you have to combine it with a dish that is also very low in potassium, okay, like rice. Even that, the tomato shouldn't be significant in the food. It should be very small.
Okay.
So let's taste our fish vegetable stew as well.
With the plain rice, eh?
I know plain rice is your favorite. Yes, with the plain rice. Madam Efua, please, can you pour us some juice if you don't mind? Thank you. So while we're getting the dish ready, you know, back to this cooking thing. And I did say that people belittle the importance of the job of the cook.
Yeah.
You know, what would you say? I mean, enough for you. Thank you. As for Efua at home, cooking was a thing. So it was normal. It was dignified. Enough for you. Do you think that if you had had maybe a teacher or a mentor who much earlier had said, you know what, go into this field, work with food, you'd have done it?
So, knowing what I know now, probably I wouldn't have. But earlier on, cooking was beautiful. Not the cooking side for me, but the shame that has to go with cooking in the secondary school. When you are in home econs class, they call you choba, as if you came to just escort them. But catering is a science. Okay. People think everybody can cook. After all, everybody can cook. So why are you giving it so much attention? They forget that it is a specialty to meet a need.
Sorry, can I
not only for taste.
for the rice? Thank you.
So for me, I would always, with the impact I am making with my food, I will always choose food. Yes. And with time, people are getting to appreciate the role of catering and even dietetics. Yes.
So did you study science in secondary school?
From the initial stage, my first few weeks in school, I was in the science class. And I ran to the home econs.
Why?
Because when I was in JHS, my life skills teacher, I had told her I wanted to be a dietitian.
Yeah.
And she told me, then you have to do home econs.
Oh.
So I chose home econs. But when I went to school, you know, sometimes they give you a new class.
Yes.
So they gave me science. And with my desire to do dietetics, I spent few weeks in the science class and ran
away
to my home econs. After spending a term or two, I also got to know, oh, it's a different ball game altogether. So when I got the opportunity to now do science in the master's level to complement or to give me a deeper understanding of the catering, I ran to it. It is something I thank God for.
So viewers, at this point, I'd like to thank Desua for joining us today. She's a dietitian and she's taught us a lot today about things that we should be thinking about generally when it comes to our health, but especially when it comes to our kidneys. And once again, I hope that this was useful if you or someone you know is living with a kidney condition or managing some kind of kidney disease. And thank you also for Madam Efua for joining us. Taster General, we need your verdict before we go. Not that I really want it, but...
Live long with this meal.
Amen to that. Once again, thank you. Once again, thank you to our sponsors, Tasty Tom, Ufa Kakra, Naya Bebre, Frytol, Fortune Rice, and Indomie. My name is Apiorkor. This has been another amazing episode of What's Cooking. We'll see you next week.